Welcome to Value Plays Only, where Dockside Extortionist isn't cheating. Today, we have Cammy playing Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator, and Vial Smasher the Fierce. This Grixis pirate deck looks to win fast. It can lean on Thassa's Oracle, Underworld Breach, Glinthorn Buccaneer, or Trickery Charm Loop. Her hand contains a Ragavan Nimble Pilferer, Demonic Consultation, Toxic Deluge, Flusterstorm, the One Ring, Lotus Petal, and Volcanic Island. Tyler's playing Rograkh, Son of Rograkh, and Silas Renn, Secret Adept. This is the fastest deck in the format. It uses Rograkh to its highest potential, blazing out Grixis-flavored wins as early as turn 1 or 2. His hand contains a Diabolic Intent, the One Ring, Ancient Tomb, and Command Tower. His 3 London Mulligans are Thassa's Oracle, Praetor's Grasp, and Necropotence. John is playing Derevi, Imperial Tactician. This is a creature combo deck looking to use and abuse Derevi's untap ability to make infinite mana with any flicker effect. He did not get the message on the Grixis game. His hand contains a Mystic Remora, Noble Hierarch, Otawara Soaring City, and Polluted Delta. His 3 London Mulligans are Grand Abolisher, Shifting Woodlands, and Talongates and Madara. Dan is playing Kefka, Court Mage. This is a Grixis mid-range deck pretending to be a hand disruption deck. This deck can generate massive card advantage through Kefka before winning with Thassa's Oracle or Underworld Breach. His hand contains a Desperate Ritual, Clever Impersonator, Wheel of Fortune, Polluted Delta, Scalding Tarn, Gemstone Caverns, and Underground Sea. And with that, let's see some value plays. Dan has a pregame action, putting Gemstone Caverns into play, exiling Underground River. Cammy then starts things off with a Volcanic Island as land for turn. She casts a Lotus Petal. Cammy then casts a Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer. She passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays a Command Tower as land for turn. He casts his commander, Rograkh, Son of Rograkh. Tyler passes the turn. John plays an Otawara, Soaring City as land for turn. He casts a Mystic Remora. John passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He plays a Polluted Delta as land for turn. He pays life and cracks it, fetching up an Underground Sea. He casts a Fell Warstone. Remora triggers and John draws. Dan then passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She plays Otawara, Soaring City as land for turn. She taps out to cast her commander, Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator. She goes to combat and swings Ragavan at Dan. He takes the damage and Ragavan and Malcolm trigger. She makes 2 treasures and exiles City of Traders off the top of Dan's library. Cammy then passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays an Ancient Tomb as land for turn. He casts Diabolic Intent, sacrificing Rograkh as an additional cost. Remora triggers and John draws. He searches up a card to hand. Tyler casts a Mana Vault. Remora triggers and John draws. He then casts Grim Monolith. Remora triggers and John draws. He taps out to cast the One Ring. Remora triggers and John draws. John responds with a Mindbreak Trap. This sends the One Ring into exile and Tyler's hopes and dreams into hell. He then passes the turn. John untaps and in his upkeep he pays to keep his Remora. John plays a Tropical Island as land for turn. He casts a Noble Hierarch. He then passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He plays a Volcanic Island as land for turn. He casts a Desperate Ritual. Remora triggers and John draws. Dan casts his commander, Kefka, Court Mage. It enters and triggers, discarding lands and sorceries, with Dan drawing 2. Dan then passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She plays Polluted Delta as land for turn. She pays life and cracks it, fetching up an Underground Sea. Cammy then goes into the tank. There's been a lot of talk about John winning on his turn, and Cammy isn't sure she'll get another one. She casts Demonic Consultation. Remora triggers and John draws. Consultation resolves and Cammy names Glinthorn Buccaneer. No one saw this coming, and Cammy starts exiling. She exiles the top 6 and doesn't see it. Cammy celebrates and starts exiling. She exiles 80 or so cards from the top of her library, finding Glinthorn Buccaneer, adding it to hand. She casts Glinthorn Buccaneer. Amazingly, it resolves. Cammy goes to combat and swings all of her pirates at Tyler. He takes the damage and Ragavan and Malcolm trigger. She makes 2 treasures and exiles Praetor's Grasp off the top of Tyler's library. In the end of combat step, Cammy activates Glinthorn's ability, discarding a card as cost. Glinthorn triggers to ping each opponent for 1. Malcolm triggers to make 3 treasures. Cammy then draws a card. Cammy presents a loop of paying 2 treasures to activate Glinthorn, pinging each opponent for 1, and making 3 treasures. She doesn't have enough cards in her library to actually win with this loop though. She loots through her entire deck, ending the loop with an empty library and only 4 cards in hand. She casts Thassa's Oracle. It enters and triggers. With her library already empty, Cammy wins the game. Today, we have a 2-for-1 deal. In this game, Cammy is playing Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator, and Vial Smasher the Fierce. Her hand contains a Lion's Eye Diamond, Vampiric Tutor, Mental Misstep, and Volcanic Island. Her 3 London Mulligans are Mnemonic Betrayal, An Offer You Can't Refuse, and Curiosity. John is playing Tinybones, Bauble Burglar. This disruptive mono-black deck looks to generate advantage off of discard effects. It can win with Chain of Smog or Aetherflux Reservoir. His hand contains a Vampiric Tutor, Mind Crank, Saw in Half, Bolus's Citadel, Grim Monolith, Takenuma Abandoned Mire, and a Swamp. Tyler is playing Glarb, Calamity's Augur. This is a Sultai control deck, looking to use Glarb's card advantage to surveil and police the table. It can win with Thassa's Oracle or Aetherflux Reservoir Loop. His hand contains Bloom Tender, Fellwar Stone, Mystical Tutor, Born Upon a Wind, Underground Sea, Mysterized Village, and City Brass. Dan is playing Kinnan, Modern Prodigy. This deck looks to make infinite mana and filter into Kinnan, putting out huge threats along the way. His hand contains Llanowar Elves, Springleaf Drum, Fierce Guardianship, Mana Drain, Otawara Soaring City, Treasure Vault, and City Brass. And with that, let's see some value plays. Cammy starts things off with a Volcanic Island as land for turn. She casts a Lion's Eye Diamond. It resolves and she passes the turn. John plays a Swamp as land for turn. He casts a Dark Ritual. Cammy hates to see Mono Black doing anything in someone else's hands and casts Mental Misstep, countering Dark Ritual. John sadly passes the turn. Tyler plays an Underground Sea as land for turn. He passes the turn. Dan plays a City Brass as land for turn. He takes one to cast Llanowar Elves. Dan passes his turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She casts a Chrome Box, imprinting Vampiric Tutor. Not getting the draw she hoped, Cammy opts to crack her Lion's Eye Diamond for 3 blue, discarding her hand, and casts her commander, Malcolm, Kinnan Navigator. Cammy passes the turn. John untaps, and in his upkeep, he casts Vampiric Tutor. It resolves, and John shows he is searching up a Bloodchief Ascension to the top of his library, losing 2 life. John draws it for turn. He plays Takenuma, Abandoned Mire as land for turn, and casts Bloodchief Ascension. It resolves, and John passes the turn. In his end step, Tyler casts Mystical Tutor. He searches up a Culling Ritual to the top of his library, setting the table on edge. He says if anyone gets 2 out of hand, he'll burn it all back down. The turn then moves to Tyler. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays City Brass as land for turn. He casts a Felwar Stone. Tyler then passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He plays an Ardwara, Soaring City as land for turn. He casts his commander, Kinnan, Bonner Prodigy. It resolves and he taps his elves for 2 mana and spends 1 on a Springleaf Drum. It resolves and he activates it, tapping Kinnan for 2 mana to cast Trinisphere. The table's strap in for what kind of game this is becoming, and Dan passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She plays Bloodstained Mire as land for turn. She plays Life and cracks it, fetching up an Underground Sea. She casts her other commander, Vial Smasher the Fierce. Cammy goes to combat and swings Malcolm at John. He takes the damage and Malcolm triggers to make a treasure. Cammy then passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He plays Urza Saga as land for turn, getting his first counter. He casts his commander, Tinybones, Bauble Burglar. John passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays Mistrise Village as land for turn, into play tapped. He casts his commander, Glarb, Calamity's Augur. He looks at the top card of his library and passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He plays a Treasure Vault as land for turn. Dan passes the turn, holding up boatloads of mana. Cammy untaps and draws. She casts the only card in her hand, Windfall. Everyone seems okay with the new hand, as Vial Smasher triggers, dealing 3 to Tyler. Windfall then resolves, and everyone discards the hand and draws 5. Tinybones triggers takes out all of Dan and Tyler's cards. Everyone now remembers what this deck does and get a little bit more afraid as they see John discard Mindcrank. Cammy plays an Ancient Tomb as land for turn. She casts a Professional Facebreaker. It resolves and Cammy goes to combat. She swings Malcolm at John. He takes the damage and Malcolm and Facebreaker trigger to make 2 treasures. Cammy then passes the turn. In her end step, Blood Chief gets its first counter. John untaps and draws. In his main phase, Urza Saga gets another counter. John plays Ancient Tomb from exile as land for turn. John casts Delirium Skeins. It resolves and everyone discards 3 cards into John's Tinybone zone. John can't do anything else under Trinisphere and passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays a Tropical Island as land for turn. He casts the One Ring. It resolves and he gains protection from everything. Tyler then passes the turn. In his end step, Dan activates Kinnan. He looks at the top 5 and fails to find. The turn then moves to Dan. Dan untaps and draws. He looks at his hand and passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She casts Imperial Recruiter. Vial Smasher triggers to deal 3 to Tyler, which is prevented by his protection. Priority passes around to Dan and he activates Kinnan, looking at the top 5 and putting a Manglehorn into play. It enters and triggers, destroying Felwar Stone. Imperial Recruiter then enters and triggers, searching up a Kite Sail Larcenist to hand. Cammy casts Kite Sail Larcenist. It enters and triggers, targeting Kinnan, the One Ring, and Tinybones. In response, Tyler activates the One Ring to draw a card. Then, they all turn into treasures. Cammy goes to combat. She swings Vial Smasher at Dan, and Malcolm and Facebreaker at John. They take the damage, and Malcolm triggers and Facebreaker triggers twice to make treasures. Cammy then passes the turn. In her end step, Blood Chief gets a second counter. John untaps and draws. In his main phase, Urza Saga gets third counter. In response, John floats a mana, and then Saga searches up a Soul Ring to the battlefield tapped. John sacrifices his Tinybones treasure for a mana, and then spends 3 more to recast it. He then plays a Polluted Delta from exile as land for turn. He pays a life and cracks it, fetching up a Swamp. He then casts Bloom Tender from exile. John passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He looks at his top card with Glarb. He thinks about outing the Kite Sail Larcenist, but John begs him to wait until Dan sacrifices his Kinnan treasure to take him off a turn. Tyler opts to just pass the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He sacrifices his Kinnan treasure for a mana and then spends 3 more to recast it. Dan then passes the turn. Cammy untaps and draws. She casts a Lightning Rig Crew. Vial Smasher triggers to ping Tyler for 3. Cammy goes to combat, swinging Kite Sail at Dan, Malcolm at Tyler, and Vial Smasher and Facebreaker at John. John blocks Vial Smasher with Tinybones, and they all take the damage. Malcolm and Facebreaker trigger to make a total of 5 treasures. Cammy opts to pass the turn here. In her end step, Blood Chief triggers to get its 3rd and most important counter. John untaps and draws. He plays a second Ancient Tomb as land for turn. He laughs in the face of Trinisphere as he debates what he can actually do right now. John pays 4 to activate Tinybones. Dan and Tyler discard a card and Cammy shows her empty hands. Still with nothing to do, John casts a Sensei's Divining Top, which enters tapped. He then casts a Soul Ring for 3, which also enters tapped. He then passes the turn. In his end step, Tyler casts Deadly Relic for 3 mana, targeting Kitesail Larcenist. Ward triggers, and Tyler pays. Deadly Relic then resolves, and Blood Chief triggers to drain Tyler for 2. Still in the end step, Tyler activates the One Ring to draw 2. He then activates Glarb, surveilling 2 cards to his grave. Blood Chief triggers to drain him for 4. The turn then moves to Tyler. Tyler untaps and draws. In his upkeep, he takes 2 from the One Ring. He plays Morphic Pool as land for turn. Tyler taps out to cast Seedborn Muse. It resolves, and the table slowly point their guns at Tyler. He then activates Glarb, surveilling 2 into his grave. Blood Chief triggers twice to drain him for 4. Tyler goes to pass his turn. In his end step, Cammy decides she needs to look for answers and starts activating Facebreaker, sacrificing some of her tapped treasures to exile Niv Mizzet Perun, Misty Rainforest, and Pyroblast. This does something, but not quite what she's looking for, as it can out the Glarb but won't deal with the Seedborn One Ring problem. Cammy thinks she will actually use it to shoot Kinnan to make sure Dan won't just pop off on his turn. Dan says he already bought a Basalt Monolith in one of his flips and shows Cammy his whole hand to prove he doesn't have anything crazy to do on his turn. Eventually, Cammy decides to try and cut Tyler's advantage and cast Pyroblast, targeting Glarb. Glarb is destroyed, and Blood Chief triggers twice to drain each of them for 2. The turn then moves to Dan. Dan untaps and draws. He shows the new card he just drew as he casts it, Tezzeret the Seeker. The table all explode as they try to confirm Dan didn't have a way to win on his turn. Cammy confirms this card wasn't in his hand, and they all go into the tank together. Cammy activates Facebreaker, sacrificing a tapped treasure to exile Force of Will. She only has 3 mana and no hand, so this doesn't do it. She sacrifices her last tapped treasure and exiles Talisman of Dominance. She has to pass on Tezzeret. Tyler activates the One Ring to draw 4 cards. He doesn't find an answer, and Tezzeret resolves, amid a lot of grumbling from the table. Dan activates the -3 ability of Tezzeret, searching up Basalt Monolith to the battlefield. He taps Basalt Monolith for 4 mana through Kinnan and pays 3 to untap it. He presents this loop over and over, making infinite colorless mana. Of course, Dan already has the filter and pays 10 million mana into Treasure Vault, sacrificing it to make a boatload of treasures. He activates Kinnan over and over with his infinite mana, putting out most of his creatures onto the battlefield, including Thrasios, Triton Hero. He activates Thrasios over and over until he draws Finale of Devastation. Dan casts Finale with X equals 100 million, giving all of his creatures a lot of power and haste. He goes to combat and swings out at the table, killing them all. With that, Dan wins the game. So, what do we learn today? Don't make deals. No matter how threatening somebody's board seems, just put Dan on the ground every chance you get, or his top deck will end the game. If you have any tips for the video, leave them below. Subscribe if you feel like it. Until next time, keep making value plays.
I don't have to tell the truth.
And then I make these 2 turns.
Do you hear him? And you're on
I hate politicking. I'm hitting you. I don't have to tell the truth.
I don't have to answer your
You're
question.
show you a mind break trap.
Yep, I'm out of the game. After
Seems
I drew
like
you
a
50 cards, homie. And what do I get? 1 card, then 2 cards,
Yeah, no.
then 3.
I hear you. You can't just say, I'm jamming, I'm crusty. I literally thought you were going to cast Fastest Oracle.
Jamming, I'm crusty.
I can't say that whenever I want, homie. You can't tell me I can't.
I'm jamming, I'm crusty. I can lie if I want.
I'm jamming, I'm crusty.
Dude, that's tough.
What's tough, you little bitch?
Did he hurt you?
You fucker.
I'm so sorry
You
for
fucker.
you.
I also am so far away.
I cast one blunt horn.
Blunt
Blunt horn.
Yo, 420 blunt horn
Pass on that.
on the stack.
Blunt horn bong in here.
Blunt horn bong in
Blunt
here.
horn bong in here.
Okay, we're getting you an altar.
Stupid.
I mean, you take a big, long toke.
Are you past priority?
Jesus, Dan.
Yeah.
You couldn't hold up a mana for that.
No. I need Kefka.
Fucking God, he has everything.
This doesn't already be on top that you didn't.
He doesn't already be in hand.
Yeah, you didn't let me draw it.
Yeah, Kimmy, you got it.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Then I'll go to my Tony pile.
Oh.
Dude.
I'm never playing anything the whole rest of forever.
It literally has everything in the whole
I have a
world.
mind crank in my pile. Too early.
It would be nice if you were dead, but.
Does that every day.
Every
Every time we,
day.
Every
every time we
holiday.
get lunch, yeah, every holiday.
I'm gonna
I just
bring
wish you were
in.
dead.
Oh no, I'm gonna
That's-
Glarb.
Bruh.
God, fuck.
I'm sad.
Blood Chief goes up.
Dude, what have you started? What have
Can
you
everyone
done?
shut the fuck up?
I said, hold on, I'm about to Glarb.
I can fetch you into the grave,
No.
bitch. Fetch you up a stretcher.
Dang. That's so cold.
God, he's so fucking
Hold on,
hard.
I'm about to
badass.
Hold on, I'm about to Glarb.
Yeah, the response, hang on, I'm glarbing.
What have we done? I gotta put this deck away.
1 minute, I just have to Glarb.
If you wouldn't mind looking away, I'm about to Glarb.
Now, one moment, I'm gonna glarb. he is so clearly
But
in
me
the
stopping
lead.
Glarb doesn't like do anything.
Doesn't
to
do
him.
anything.
I will say, I actually already bought him Basalt Monolith in one of the earlier flips.
Tell me what looked his hand.
Tell him he can't win this game.
Can I look at your hand?
Tell me what looked his hand.
Just make it a big
Honestly,
deal.
if you want to look at my hand, you can.
I made that deal. What?
That's right. The Seeker.
What's this guy doing?
It puts fucking basalt into play, right?
It does. I just drew it.
He,
I just
he did not
drew
have
it.
that in his hand.
I'm glad I just showed you my hand, honestly, because this would have been so suspicious.
It sucks because you have vindicated Tyler, who
100%.
was in a great position, and I thought wasn't making a good argument, and yet, Dan, out of
Well,
nowhere,
he
this
said
is a
it's
1 in
crazy.
90 chance.
I just
Dan
drew exactly. It's your 1 in 90 chance.
Yeah, but now we know that it's always going to
what I
hit for you,
said.
so we have to
Okay,
fucking
that's
just
not
kill
how,
you.
John, you know that's not how it works.
You gotta admit, he showed the hand. I thought he said he wouldn't win.
I always
He
knew that
apparently
it-
didn't.
Damn. He's cooked me 1,000 times this way.
Show us the fucking finale
That's
so we can go the hell home.